Hi, everybody, and welcome to CodeInverness Code Club, our latest live lesson for the advanced Scratch. Very warm welcome today from myself and also from Daryl, who as well will be sorting out the broadcasting. He has his fingers on all the dials at the moment, and he'll be working through some of the exercises with us. We are Aine and Daryl, as I said, we are both STEM ambassadors, and as part of Highland Tech Hub, we're trying to support people in STEM education and coding, especially now during this lockdown time. In normal times, we run in-person classes, but obviously we won't be doing that for some time, and instead we've started running online classes. You're all very welcome today, parents as well as young people. And we are always open for new members, for volunteers, and let us know, get in touch if you are interested in helping out. As always, we have the possibility of adding comments in the YouTube channel. So please feel free to give us your feedback as we're going along, to give us a shout out. We can take your feedback immediately, and it also helps us in planning further lessons. You may know that we have some other sessions on as well. We have a session on a Wednesday from 2 to 3 also, and we've also had some other requests to do sessions with other languages like Lua. Daryl, have you had any feedback from anywhere?
Oh, I've not really been receiving much feedback, but it's worth remembering as well as YouTube, you can also reach us on Twitter at CodeInverness or on Facebook, and we also have our email address, which is up on the stream at the moment.
Exactly. So this level, the level of this class is an advanced class, but as we were only starting, we had a look and reviewed over things. So we're looking to ramp up the level quite a bit as we go through now the next few lessons. We'll just quickly go over to the gallery. And please, as you are working through things, if you want to remix something, please post it here. And we have a particular advanced Scratch gallery. So anyone working on advanced Scratch with us, please feel free to post your remixes here, or indeed anything else that you are working on. And that will help us as well understand where your level is a Scratch and how we can help you improve that. Okay, so this, as I said, was the 4th session. Last week, we looked at recreating the functionality of a running sprite. What did you think about that lesson? Please feel free to put your comments in the channel or on our Twitter or Facebook feed. And as I said before, post your work to the gallery. The first week, we looked at the elements of code, expected behavior. So what do you, when you write some code, what do you expect your sprite to do or your code to do? In the next week, we looked at modularizing your code and adding comments. And then last week, oh, sorry, this was again the second week, but we also looked at if loops and repeats. And then last week, we looked at broadcasting and variables. We touched a bit on planning and improving your code, and also on testing. So in general, the way this works is if you watch and listen to us, think and then code on your own, and feel free to ask any questions. Oh, so sorry. Oh, the project that we did last week it was looking at this gentleman trying to power a light bulb So we notice that when he starts, obviously it doesn't make the light bulb do anything because it isn't connected. So you have to connect it. And as you see, when he starts, there's a bit of light that comes. You can also make it go faster, faster, and faster. You can stop him or start him again. And if you go too fast, you destroy your light bulb. One of the things that we touched on last week was that we wanted to improve the code and also check that we didn't break anything while we were improving it. But we were only partly successful, weren't we, Daryl?
We fixed a lot of things, but we broke some other things. So I think it's time to fix everything.
Exactly. So I don't know if you caught this, but one of the things that we broke, do you see what it is that we broke on the front end?
Oh yes, the wheel's not turning.
Exactly. So our wheel is not turning. So if we go in, we can actually have a look at that. So if we click on the wheel, I actually took out the code a little bit earlier and Scratch auto saved it. So we did break it, but I've actually pulled out the code. So it's I thought it would be a little bit more difficult for us to fix if we don't have the example there. So the way it was set up originally was that if you looked at the start sprite, what we had done originally was there was a few extra steps, and we broadcasted start, and then that sent start to it sent start to more than one sprite, and that was one thing. When we pulled out start, it affected more than just one sprite. So what we'll need to do is either put broadcast sprite back in, or would there be any other things that we could do, Daryl, do you think, to make the...
Well, the wheel only rotates when there should be speed. So
yes.
if we make the wheel move with relation to speed, same as we did with the walking, it should work again.
Exactly. Yeah, so if we have a look at what we did there. Yes, so if speed is greater than 0, and I'll have to go back. I'm not sure. I've lost my thing. Oh yes, if speed is greater than 0. Yes. Okay, so we have our variables. Is greater than 0. Then what should we do? So the chap walking, he was changing his costume, but we don't want it to change costume. We've only have the one costume. What do we want it to do then?
If we want to make something turn, I would probably say we want to change its rotation or its direction.
Yes. So we definitely want a turn. Oh, I think I've gone past it.
Up in motion.
Turn. And instead of turning by 15 degrees and turning, no, I think we want it to turn the other way. I've got the wrong turn. So, and we want to put in.
You're going to want to turn it based on speed, so you're going to need some kind of operator in there.
Yes. So if we want to put in speed, what do we want it to turn faster or slower with speed?
Faster he's walking, the faster the treadmill would be moving. Therefore, the faster the thing would be spinning. So.
Okay.
Oh, wrong one.
So, oop. If speed is greater.
So it's in the turn you needed to put it, not the
Oh yes,
not the if statement.
exactly. So turn. And will we say speed? So it keeps going faster. And we don't want it to go too fast beforehand. So
1 of a
would
degree,
you like
maybe.
to try 1?
Okay, that's I think going to turn quite quickly, but
Okay. Let's see. Connect, and we'll go faster.
oh, well, it's not turning at all.
No, it's not turning at all, is it?
Be the problem there.
Absolutely. One thing is we've just said if speed is greater than 0. Maybe that's the wrong thing. Maybe we need a forever.
Yes, so we need to keep checking whether it's greater than 0, not just do it once.
Yes. Let's try that. There we go.
That wheel's about to fall off at that speed.
I know. So that looks like it's a bit too fast, doesn't it? So we can slow that down. We can slow that down to maybe 0.5. Take this extra one away. Very good. So you can see that, and it's not. And it's funny, isn't it? Because once it starts to get faster than 60, it looks like it's actually spinning in the other direction, doesn't it?
I think that's probably because of how much it's turning. So
Yeah, exactly.
Each tick that's turning 30 degrees, which is quite a big turn.
Exactly. So that's another one of the kind of optical illusions you should look out for when you're coding up something, because it starts to look one way when you start it, and then as you go faster, it seems to change behavior. But at this point, yes, it's above 40, it starts to go back in the opposite direction. But that's the optical illusion. If you look at things in real life, they also appear that way to our eyes, don't they?
And yeah.
So yeah, if someone's on a bicycle wheel, or I suppose a car wheel as well, with the hubcaps, they begin at one point, they begin to look like they're going in the opposite direction. Okay, so that was actually fixed there. Did you see anything else, Daryl, that you wanted to change or fix?
I think that wheel looks like it's about to fall off. It's very wobbly.
I think that may be our graphic. I don't know. Do you think there's anything we can do to make it look less wobbly?
I think if let's open up the sprite and see what we see.
Okay.
Need to do is find the center of that.
Okay.
Find out where the center is.
It looks to me like it's pretty well centered. We convert it to a vector.
Oh, there we are. So that center's not in the center of the sprite. So you see how they're not matching up? Now that's matched.
Okay.
Is
that better?
Well, we can try it.
Okay. Okay. I go back to our code and we'll see. I hate to say it, but I think that looks more wobbly.
I think you might be right.
I think that looks a little bit more wobbly. Let's see. That's where I had it.
Very slightly.
Yes, no, that's definitely wobbly.
There we are.
Is that better? Okay. So sometimes you have to try a few things before you get it to do what you want. And then sometimes you might just say, "Oh goodness, I can't be bothered." But no, it's good to keep tinkering with things until you make it do what you like, because then you have something that makes you feel much better. It can be hard though, Daryl, can't it? Because you don't always have the time to make your code do exactly what you want in the exact way that you want it to go.
Absolutely. Sometimes you have time constraints that mean that some things have to be more prioritized over others.
Exactly. So I thought one of the things that we could do to improve this or to change would be to maybe add some sound effects. And I thought one of the things that we could do is maybe add a sound. So when the light bulb bursts, it's still very quiet. And I mean, I thought that would be one thing that would be good to add. So if we go to the bulb, we could add a sound. So at what point do you think we should, or how do you think we should add a sound?
Well, we already have this speed too high notification.
Exactly.
So maybe we can use speed too high to add a sound.
For sure. And as you can see here, if you don't have it added already, you can add in your music. So that would give you, or if you wanted to add music, or if you wanted to add a sound, they're all there. And the sounds, I've added, I can't remember, did I get them from here? No, I did not. So I added in, I wanted to, yes.
At the top.
So I've added, oh yes, that's it. That's exactly where you go. So if you want to add a sound, you go into here. I've done that this morning and I've already forgotten how I did it. So that's great. So yes, you choose whatever sound you like, but I thought it would be good to have this sound. And I don't think we're getting any noise. Okay.
I don't know if I can hear your sound, so I don't know if it will appear on the stream.
I don't think it's, we can hear it. Let me see if I can.
Viewers will just have to make sure that they're that they follow along, so they can hear the sound.
Exactly. So let's see if we can play a sound. So if we put that in, we can connect, start, and go faster. Oh, and we can't actually hear it on the live stream, unfortunately. So what I did have a play around with this earlier, and it's not actually enough to just play the sound. You actually have to add start sound as well. So if we start sound and then play it after it switches the costume, so when it bursts, we'll see, does that work? Hopefully you'll be able to hear that now. Oh, and it's not working for some reason. Oh, apologies about that. That the bulb or my sound is not working as expected on the live stream. But yeah, that's quite an easy way to add sound effects. Okay, no, I've got the volume up, so I'm not sure exactly what the issue with that is there. Oh, I can see what the issue is. I hadn't had it muted in the.
Still showing as muted.
There we go.
There we are. I hope everyone heard that.
I'll just play it again in case. Okay, so there's a bit of a delay there on the sound. So we can try and change that a little bit. So if we move the wait 1 second. Oh, oh. So if we switch all of these things around, we'll see if that makes a difference.
The sound before the wait 1 second.
Yes, we'll try that now, I think.
Because at the moment it's changing costume, waiting a second, and then playing the sound.
Okay, so do you think we should put start sound before the wait 1 second?
And the play sound, I think.
Okay, let's just try that one. Oh, it helps if you connect. Yes, I think that's the right effect, isn't it?
It is.
So it's
Chat
playing
saying we
it
can hear the pop as well, so that's good.
Exactly, that's perfect. That's perfect. I was also thinking that you might want to have some kind of a background noise as well. So when the boy is walking, when you have your sprite walking, could we add in some sound effects there? And that was where I went to music to get some music that we could play. As I thought, while you're walking, you could maybe have some music in time to the walking. So what kind of music do you think would be good walking music, Daryl? I think
Nice and rhythmic. And
yes. So if we say snare drum, and we could put this in here. So it would kind of go as you're walking.
okay.
But I don't know if we want it to play for 0.25 beats.
Try it.
Well, we can
see if we want to change it.
do that. Yeah. Okay, so the good thing about that is that it's speeding up as we speed the walking because it's already in the same loop. Yeah. So as you go walk, as you
It does seem to hit a point where it doesn't go any faster.
No, I think that's to do with how long it is it takes to play the drum.
Maybe we need to change that based on the speed, or just decrease it.
Okay, so what if we say the snare drum for 0.1? Does that make a difference, do you think?
Should if it's playing for less time, then we should have more time to actually hear it. I think you'll need to hit the green flag.
Okay. So what do you suggest, Daryl? Should we decrease that further, or do you want to maybe make it bigger?
What you could possibly do is do the same as your weight, where you're weighting one over the speed. If you did that, if you did that with like maybe 25 over the speed beats, it would get faster. The beat would get faster as the walking gets faster.
Okay, so we're looking then for an operator, yeah?
Yes, we are.
And oh, sorry, I was thinking, did you want it to have over or multiplied?
Over, so the division.
Okay. And we want to have the speed as well.
Would be 25 divided by speed.
Okay.
That way, as the speed gets bigger, the beat gets smaller.
Okay, that sounds good.
I might actually meant to be 2.5.
0.25.
2.5.
2.5. Okay. Okay, we'll try that. Well, I think that's safe to say that that did work. Are you happy enough with that, Daryl?
I've not. I don't know if anyone in the chat has any suggestions.
Yeah, it might be a good time to have a check of the chat, if that's okay.
Yeah. So we've got a message from Julie saying her son thinks this is a cool project. So that's good. It's glad that we've got someone who's enjoying it.
That's great. Thanks very much. Excellent. So I think that's kind of all I wanted to do on that, but please feel free to take this off our page and remix it as you like and share it again, or indeed something like this. And we can come back to it next week to see if anybody has posted anything up onto our studio.
Absolutely. Our link to the studio is always in the video description, as is the link to the project that we've been working on today.
Exactly. Okay. So our focus today, we were looking at improving code, and then make sure that you test it. And obviously we'd said that we should test our code thoroughly last time, but still, even though we did that, we missed something. So yes, one of the things that we do at work, Daryl, I don't know if you do this as well, but we set up scripts where we take people through all the functionality, and they try out the code in as many different ways as they can to try and see if everything is working the way we expect it to work.
Absolutely. Automatic testing is very important, especially in modern development. It's it makes a big difference to be able to check all that automatically whenever you have a new release.
Exactly. So the more you can automate, the better. But one of the things that we realized during the week ourselves at work was that developers don't necessarily predict always what a user will do. So you're always learning from users. We discovered this week that one of the things that users like to do is put random search terms into a search bar without any other content. So, for example, a symbol, if you just put a symbol in it, what do you get back? And that was obviously something we never tested because we always assumed people would be putting in content or words rather than symbols. But that just goes to show that you have to keep constantly reviewing what you're doing.
Absolutely, and revising your tests is as important as writing them in the first place.
Exactly. So you learn from what you do, hopefully, and incorporate that the next time. So we've added some music and added some sound to the project we were working on last week. We also looked at the optical illusions and animations again. So once the speed of the wheel gets up beyond a certain point, the spokes appear to be moving in the opposite direction. And thanks very much to Brian for pointing that out. We hadn't been focusing on the way that the animation looks, but that's important that animation will look as close to a real life situation as possible. Okay, so that's all that we wanted to look at from picking up on what we did last week. But this week, I thought that we could have a look at creating an RPG. So, Daryl, maybe you can tell us what an RPG is.
Yeah, so an RPG is a role-playing game. It's a game style where you take on the persona of a character, and you go through and you solve quests and defeat monsters to try and achieve a goal.
Yes. Okay. So one of the things that we thought with this class might be interesting to do with these sessions is to create an RPG ourselves. So if you have any tales or interests that you have, you can suggest plots to us or characters, and we'll be creating this as we go and putting it into the gallery. So we can go back and improve things, test things, and keep working on things in this. So when myself and Daryl were talking about this, I thought it might be good to have a Highland focus, since we're the Highland Tech Hub and we're based in Inverness and Highland. I don't know, Daryl, have you ever seen a Scottish-based role-playing game, or do you know of any examples of those?
I'm trying to think. I don't know if I specifically do. I'm sure there must be some out there. I can't say I've actually looked.
Okay, well, one place you can look for examples of role-playing games is on Scratch itself, because you can actually do some quite involved games. And one of the ones I was looking at before, there was this one, Witch. And what you'll notice is with role-playing games, they can often take quite a while to load, because they often have quite a bit of code in them. But this one is a cute little game. Oh. And I think I remember why I switched off my sound earlier. So you can press start, and this takes you through. You can see the map as well of where you are, and it has some notes and credits here. And then if you can take the character through, you can do different things. But here it's a platform you're trying to go through and gather things. What role-playing games would you have played, Daryl, or what would be the point of the things that you enjoy? I mean, I think you've said that you enjoy Dungeons and Dragons.
I do, and
Would that be an example of a role-playing game?
that's a tabletop role-playing game rather than a computer role-playing game.
Mm,
So that's all about imagination. One of the most famous computer-based role-playing games is the Final Fantasy series,
right.
which has been going for a long time and spawned must be probably thousands of different variations on that by now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it might be an idea. I don't know that much about kind of Highland lore or stories. It might be an interesting thing to nominate a fairy tale or some type of a story that people know based in Highland.
Absolutely, and if anyone's got any suggestions, we'd love to hear them. You can always send us suggestions via Facebook, Twitter, or our email address if anyone's got any good ideas.
Exactly. So I thought while we have some time left today, it might be an idea to create a new project and start working through, and we can see about maybe gamifying some of these characters. But I kind of thought it might be nice to have some kind of a foresty background. And I was thinking we could add some sprites, maybe I was thinking maybe a butterfly, maybe a rabbit. I think there's a cute rabbit.
But there's always a search bar if you need to.
Yes, exactly. So as you can see, they are quite big when you get them. You can't really control the size. So one of the things that you want to do, I suppose, when you're one of the ways that you can control the size is when you start. Do you know how to control size on these?
I do. It's under looks.
Yes, that's right.
Set size 2.
Yes, okay. So that butterfly is a bit big, so maybe we'll put him to 50%. And then when we click, we can see.
If you want to just change it quickly, there's a little size in the bottom right that you can play with a little bit up and right from that. That lets you have a quick look at what size you might want before you set it in the actual code itself.
Exactly. I think our rabbit might be a bit big as well. So if we do the same to him, and we set size to, we can set size to, well, let's see. Will we do 40? Well, that's maybe a bit small. Try 50. Oh, there we go. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we did look at setting having things move across the screen and animating in that way. So I thought one of the things that we could do is have the bunny hop across the screen. So because obviously he has quite a few costumes. So having him scroll through his costumes would make him appear to be moving across the screen. And then, Daryl, do you remember how we made the donut and the plane and everything glide across or go across the screen?
Yeah, so rather than move, I think we used the glide motion, was it?
Yes, that's exactly what we did. That's exactly what we did. And if we take let's glide. Oopsie. I'm making him glide to a random position as I click it. Yes. No, that wasn't the one I wanted. Definitely this one. And if I wanted him to glide, let's say from left to right, how could I do that?
You would need to select where he's gliding to.
Okay. So if we go down to our operators, glide. Sorry. If we make him glide, we don't want him to glide to a random position. We want him to glide across. So we want him, instead of random position, we want to give him a an X. And I think, do you remember our coordinates? If we want him to glide from left to right, what kind of numbers are we looking at here?
So X would need to be positive if it's going to the right.
Exactly. We can put him over here so we can see where he is. Oops.
You're off the screen.
Yeah, so if we put him off the screen, he pops back to where he was. So yes. If we see, if I make him go to, he's at 207 now. So if we make him go to 257, that should get rid of him altogether. Oops, I'll have to take away what we wanted. 257. And Y. Now, what I was thinking, Daryl, is we could have him come, we could have a procession of bunnies across the screen.
Okay.
So we could have the bunny go like it. We can leave him at 86 just now, and then see how that goes. So he's gliding. Now, to get him to glide and go back, what will we need to tell him to do?
Is he just going to go backwards and forwards across the screen?
Well, I was thinking we could have a different rabbit come and go in the same direction.
Ah, well, in that case, you need clones.
All right. I wasn't thinking about having them on the same time at the same time, but we could do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay,
So,
well, in that case, you could just teleport him to the other end when he's finished gliding.
Okay. So this won't actually do anything because I haven't told him to go back here, have I? Yeah. So if I want him to start from over here, I have to tell him that specifically, don't I?
And in motion, go to.
Yes. Okay.
That's random again.
I won't need random. Random won't help me very much, will it? Okay, and if I want him to start over here.
So you want to be negative of where you are at the moment.
Exactly. Exactly. So there we go.
That's funny.
There he's going a bit fast. He's going a bit fast, and he's not actually doing anything, if you like, interesting. He's just stuck in one position. So let's see if we can make him do something else. If we want him not to stay at the same level, but to look like a different rabbit every time, we can add to change the X. And if we do that, if we wanted to change the his Y, what could we use to do that?
A variable, maybe called something like rabbit Y or something.
Okay. So if I make a variable, I can call it rabbit.
And you can set it for this sprite only as well, because we don't need it for everything.
Exactly. Okay. Oh, and that's put my variable there. If I don't want to see him, I can I can
like
just
that.
take that off. We can leave that for the moment if you like it, or if you don't. Okay, so if we go to setting a variable, I will set rabbit y. And then let's say I want it to be in a different, I want it not to be the same thing every time. I want it to be slightly different. What could I pick from here to change it, Daryl?
We need the one that lets us have a random number, which is pick random.
Okay, very good. So I don't want him to be flying across the sky though. So I need to tell him to be down towards the bottom of the screen, don't I?
Yeah, so we probably never want him to go above 0, for example, which will be about halfway up the screen.
Okay.
We don't want him to go too far either, so we probably don't want him to go much below 110. Oh, okay, or 180 if we want him right at the bottom.
Okay, we'll see, does that work?
You need to use your rabbit y variable in your actual motion.
Exactly.
Otherwise, he's not going to change.
Exactly. So if we go back to our variables and we put him here and put him here, then he'll go, hopefully. Oh, he's quite low there, isn't he?
Yeah, so if the minus 180 is how far down he's going to go. The minus 110 is how high up he's going to go. So
We'll see, is that a bit?
go higher than 100. He was already at 86, which was about halfway up the green.
Okay. Will we try that one? Oh, that's too high now.
Let's try maybe minus 50. Should be
okay.
Good.
Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, okay. So now there is something, as we put in other creatures or other characters, we may have to make sure that if where we want to see him, he's at the front layer. So one of the things that we can do is then go to, if you make sure that he goes to the front layer, go to front layer. Oh. There we go. And that will make sure that he's always on the top and you can see him. If you want him to go backwards, you can send him back as well. But yes, if you're, as you code, you probably want to, if you're coding from the back forward, you want to say, tell him to go to the front layer. And if you're coding from the front back, you'll want to make sure that things are in behind. So that's another thing that you can do. Let me see now. So if we wanted to make him go a bit slower, how could we make him go a bit slower, Daryl?
With how long he takes to glide across the screen.
Exactly. So will we try him at 3 and see if he's going a bit? That's a bit slow, isn't it?
Could always try 2.5 or 2.
Okay.
There we are. That's him a bit quicker.
Yeah. Okay. And also, what I'd like to do is make him look like he's walking as opposed to just flying across. So how could I do that, Daryl?
Because we're in a forever loop here, we're going to need a new loop to start changing his costume. Otherwise, we'll just get stuck in a different forever loop.
Exactly. So that's it. We have to create a new forever loop if we want something different. If we try and put costume changes in here, it won't work, will it?
It'll either change at the end of the glide or at the beginning of the glide. So you're still going to have the same costume all the way across the screen.
Yeah, exactly. But lucky for us, we can actually start another loop so that it runs in parallel. And if we want him to keep changing, we'll need another forever loop, won't we? And if we do next costume,
If you remember, we need a wait command in there, otherwise it just changes ridiculously quickly. And
yes, so let's just see. I just wanted to have a look and see what it does if we don't put a wait in. Yeah, so a wait will help us. Yeah, he's going quite quickly there. So yes, oh sorry. So if we put in a wait, how fast do you think, or?
Probably doesn't need to be too slow. Maybe half a second, maybe a little bit longer.
Okay, let's see how that looks. Oh, I think that's a bit too slow. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I got that wrong.
Let's see.
We'll even go quicker than that.
There we go. What do you think about that now?
It does look like he's hopping along, but yeah. So normally when rabbits hop, they go up a little bit. But that might be something to look at another time.
Yes, exactly. So if anybody would like to give us some more costumes, we can have a look. We can have a look at those and put those in. I don't know if there is a costume there that makes him look more like he's hopping. But yes, yeah, that's definitely something to look at going forward. So I'm just aware there, Daryl, that we're coming up to the end of this. So I don't think we really have much time to do much more in this. So if I could say to everybody watching now, if you want to maybe think about a story that we could put behind our role-playing game, any characters, if you'd like to submit some artwork, please feel free to do this. I'll put this up on Scratch at the moment, and we'll be working on this as a role-playing game next time. Just to go back to our lesson plan, if you'd like to join our straw poll, and you can tell us there if you think it's too easy, too difficult, or just right, please feel free to doing that. And otherwise, I don't know, Daryl, if there have been any comments in the YouTube channel.
Well, Julie is saying, great lesson, thanks guys. That's always nice to hear feedback like that. Yeah, we always look forward to your feedback, and there's plenty of ways of getting in touch with us. So
exactly. And don't forget to share your project as well. So when you've done some work, make sure you share it with us. Make sure you remix it and share it to the gallery.
Absolutely, and as usual, our contact details are up on the screen now.
Okay.
With our Twitter handle, our YouTube and email address, as well as our Facebook. There.
Exactly. So today we had a look at code improvements and how easy it is to break one thing when you fix something else, and how important then testing is. We also looked at adding music and adding speed. We looked at remixing and adding a different element or function, and we've started off on a role-playing game. So we would love to hear back from you if you have any ideas for a story behind the role-playing game. I'll be trying to think up one myself if unless I hear some really good suggestions. So it would be great if you come back with some ideas on that, or maybe some fables or tales from Scotland's past.
Absolutely, and this
I don't know.
applies to anyone who's watching this after the fact as well. We don't just want to hear back from the guys who are watching live. Quite happy to hear
Exactly.
from anyone.
And as always, we'll go back to the studio. We'll go back to the comments, and if you have any suggestions or any feedback, we're always happy to hear that. We'd also be interested to hear if any of you have done the moon hack. So if you took part, please let us know about that, or indeed any other activities that you are working on at the moment. And that's really, I think, all from us this week. I don't know if, Daryl, you have any parting words of wisdom you'd like to share?
Oh, just to remind everyone that you can contact us about anything that you're doing coding-wise, and we're happy to share it. It doesn't have to be about Scratch. We're happy to learn about anything that you're learning about.
Exactly. And yes, please feel free, as always, to post in any of our channels, and visit indeed our Wednesday session, 2 to 3 p.m., the basic Scratch lesson. How is that? Have you been looking at the basic Scratch, Daryl?
I have. It's been very good. They've been doing some really interesting stuff. They're currently doing the 12 challenges of Hercules.
Oh, excellent.
Which is quite an interesting one. So there's little games involved for each of those, and little challenges to go with them. So if you want to kind of you want to freshen up on your skills and sharpen your skills a little bit, then you can check that out as well.
Excellent. Yes, I must have a look as well. That's nearly a role-playing game in itself, isn't it?
It's it's Rob, who runs the Wednesday sessions, done a great job on that.
Excellent, excellent. So we'll be working on our own role-playing game between now and next Saturday, and hope to see you again soon.
Cheers, guys. Hope you all enjoyed the stream.
Bye, everybody.